The algorithms are just destroying us. Can you sue a social media company for harm? So, Senator John Curtis of Utah is working with Arizona Mark Kelly, representative, to promote a bill to help rein in Section 230 and big tech companies that when the summary would be when there is bodily harm or death caused because of an algorithm, it will allow individuals to sue for damages in civil court if they can prove that the algorithm caused them to go down this road of harmful behavior. Well, not them, because them would be the suspect, right? If they can prove that a suspect led them to harm them, right? There's a person A and person B. Person A is watching all these algorithmic feeded content, and they go, I'm going to go do a harmful act. And so they go out and perform a harmful act, which ends up causing bodily injury or death to an individual. That individual or the legal representative of that individual can sue the company. And if they can prove that the algorithm is what caused the first person, the suspect, to cause harm, they can sue and get the companies to pay them. Now, here's the deal. This is 100% virtue signaling from Senator Curtis. This is going to do nothing. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to get into the committee. The committee's not going to look at it. I see no chance that this is actually going to pass. He's doing this because Charlie Kirk died in Utah, was assassinated, outright murdered in Utah. And as a representative of Utah, he's like, hey, I'm the person who's willing to work with the other side to make things happen. So I'm going to propose a bill with a Democrat from Arizona because, you know, we're neighboring states and we got similar views or something. Let's go ahead and stop this. Here's the deal. It won't do anything. Even if it passed, it still wouldn't do anything. Why wouldn't it do anything? Because the algorithms are a giant black box that no one's allowed to look at. No one's allowed to even see what these algorithms are. How are they going to prove that the algorithm caused a person to commit harm? How? I have no idea how they're going to be able to do that. Unless they come out and specifically say that a forensic audit has to happen to an algorithm, and anytime an algorithm changes, there has to be a forensic audit. There is no way we are ever going to be able to prove that the algorithm led someone to commit harm. So let's get into the article. Have you been harmed by social media algorithms? If so, U.S. Senator John Curtis wants to let you sue. No, he doesn't. The Algorithm Accountability Act, introduced Tuesday by Curtis and co-sponsored by Arizona Democrat Senator Mark Kelly, would allow people to sue tech companies if they have been physically harmed by the company's algorithm. A provider of a social media platform shall exercise reasonable care in the design, training, testing, deployment, operation, and maintenance of the recommendations-based algorithm on the social media platform to prevent bodily injury or death, the bill text reads, according to the draft from Curtis's office. Under the bill, if it becomes law, if a person suffers bodily injury or death as a result of a violation by the provider of the social media platform, the individual may bring a civil action in a district court of the United States of competent jurisdiction against the provider for compensatory and punitive damages. How are you going to prove that? How would you ever prove I was watching videos because of an algorithm that provided them to me, and because of that, I went and did X thing, right? Like I saw people jumping off of cliffs, so I went and jumped off a cliff and I hurt myself. It's because of your algorithm. How do you prove it was the algorithm? The algorithm is in a black box. There's no way to prove it. Oh man, it upsets me. So here's the actual bill text. I read through this before the video, and there are some exceptions. In general, subparagraph shall not apply to the ranking, ordering, promotion, recommendation, amplification, or similar curation of content that is effectuated by sorting information chronologically or reverse chronologically. So if they rely on just chronological information getting to you, then you can't hold them accountable. To be honest, that makes sense to me. Like, there's no algorithm here. It's just like things got posted, and so we're posting them because they got posted in a time order, so you get to look at those. To me, makes complete sense. I think it's probably the way most things should be. Number 2 is to respond to an individual search for content on the social media platform initiated by the user. So, okay, so this is where the language gets a little weird. Nothing in clause I2, so that's the one we just read, shall be construed to limit the applicability of subparagraph A to a provider of a social media platform with respect to the activities of the recommendation-based algorithm after a user of the social media platform navigates beyond the initially populated search results. So this is effectively what I'm hearing is once you leave the search results and you continue down on a path, well, then they can't hold you accountable anymore because that's under exception. I think that's what they're saying. I might be misunderstanding this, and if I do, I'll maybe do another video on it and talk about why I was wrong. But that's currently how I understand it, is if it's chronological or if it is an individual from a search, from the initial search that they've moved on from, that is an exception. So I don't know. For me, I feel like it's just as easy as being like, hey, they pushed this button, which caused a search to run. And so now beyond the search, like once they move beyond the search, like you can be like, I want to watch the, For You tab or the My Following tab, or I want to look at videos based on like, I search for a word and then I click on a video or I click on something. The moment I click on that something, everything after that is now accepted. I think that's how I'm reading it. I don't know. All right. Here's my favorite part. Social media is a cancer. Curtis and Kelly first announced the bill at a joint event last week at Utah Valley University that the pair called Modeling Civility. There, in the wake of the shootings of Charlie Kirk on campus in September, the senators discussed political violence and divisive political rhetoric, and one of the main culprits, they argued, is social media. Social media is a cancer, Curtis said during the event, referring to comments made by Utah Governor Spencer Cox. It's driving us to division, and it's driving us to hate, and the algorithms are just destroying us. If you believed that, you would change the law so that we would have a forensic audit of the algorithms so we know what's actually going on. No one can prove what the algorithms are doing because none of us have access to it. We have no idea what these algorithms are doing. So either you're defaming the companies by saying it's driving us to division and driving us to hate and the algorithms are just destroying us. Are you committing libel? Because how do you know that's true? Because no one can look at these algorithms. But you know what? Everyone knows deep down that these algorithms are causing problems. Because first and foremost, they obviously tend to have a bias towards confirmation bias. They go, hey, you like this content, you like this type of stuff, I'll give you more of that because we want you to stay on our website, which is in effect a form of confirmation bias. And every time people go to sue because of Section 230, they're like, well, you can't touch the algorithm. It's in the black box. We're not allowed to see that. So how do you prove that we're doing anything wrong when you can't see the evidence? This bill does nothing. It is virtue signaling by Senator Curtis. I'm not a big fan of his. You can probably tell because I'm upset. I think he does this a lot. He likes to say that he loves to work with the other side and he's trying to do everything he can. No, what he does is he tries to find very low-hanging fruit that isn't going to go anywhere and says, hey, let's do some virtue signaling and let's try to stop this. Charlie Kirk was just murdered. He even talks about it in here, right? Online platforms likely played a major role in radicalizing Kirk's alleged killer, Curtis wrote. Tyler Robinson's path to extremism didn't begin with secret back rooms or meetings after school. It began online, on apps that most of us scroll through every day. What used to be a gradual drift into extremism has become a rapid slide, driven not by ideology alone, but also by algorithms, code written to keep us engaged and enraged. If that is true, why does your bill not cover it? No one can prove that anything is going to happen. This is going to die in committee. It is just him virtually signaling so that he can say, I work with the other side more than anybody else. I work on the real issues because Charlie Kirk just died and I tried to do something about it, but no one was willing to vote for it. You didn't do anything. This wouldn't solve any problems if it does pass because no one can look at the algorithm. That's the problem. So here's the other issue, okay? People keep suing and they keep trying to say that the algorithm, and this is my opinion as well, that the algorithm, if you have one as a company, you are publishing at that point their information. I see them as a publisher. YouTube, when you make recommendations, in my opinion, you have become a publisher. Because you're recommending it. You're the one who said, This information deserves to be on the front page. That is you being a publisher, in my opinion. And every time it goes to courts, courts just don't even rule on it. They just ignore it and they just move forward and they say, on other grounds, we're dismissing this case. No one can sue these platforms because no one knows what's in the algorithms. And they pretend that they are neutral. Let's see if I was asking Grok and it pulled up a quote for me. And now it's not there. Let's see. So this is from the Ninth Circuit text, Gonzalez versus Google in 2021. Google's algorithms here changed search results and recommendations based on user interactions, which is a neutral tool. Plaintiff's theory treats Google as the publisher or speaker of ISIS videos when it recommends them, but Section 230 immunizes treatment as a publisher of third-party content. Recommending content does not materially contribute to its creation or unlawfulness. How do you know it's neutral if you never looked at the algorithm? The fact that they just assume means these judges are either in on it or they are incompetent. Either way, I don't care. There is a problem with the Section 230. As Curtis points out, this is a 30-year-old bill that was supposed to help govern the internet. And on its face, I think it made sense, right? If someone wants to say something stupid and post it to YouTube, yes, I agree YouTube should not be held responsible if they're causing libel or they're teaching people how to make nuclear bombs and telling them how to set it off and how to do it secretly. That should, like, Google necessarily shouldn't be the one held responsible directly for that. But again, that's also baked into 230 that they should be creating certain rules to stop specifics like that specifically, or child content that shouldn't be online. Those type of things should be removed. And here's the deal. They're not. Everyone knows they still exist, especially Facebook. I think Facebook's one of the worst ones that has that allows people for leading towards children. That's currently what I've heard. I would love to read into that more, and I would like to probably do a video on that as well, if that is the case, and I'm looking into it. So here's just from my perspective. I'm upset with Senator Curtis. I have never really been a fan of his. I feel that he plays stupid games in an attempt to look good, to keep power. Why he wants the power, I don't know, because he doesn't really do anything. He has these articles that say how he's one of the most effective people because he finds low-hanging fruit that he can work with someone across the aisle and be like, there we are, we're doing good. Now, I will say, slightly to Steelman and in his defense, I would love to see Republicans and Democrats actually come together and be like, you know what, there's 10 things that we all agree on. Let's just get those done. Good example, and this one's not even a big deal. Why do we have daylight savings time? That should just be gone. Why, like, it's gone. I think it went through the House and then it was on the steps of the Senate and the Senate did nothing. Like, just sign the bill. Can we stop the stupidity? I don't know anybody who still wants to keep this. Maybe they exist, but I don't know any of them. How come we can't come together for the things that we all agree on and we just want to be done with? Let's just end it. Oh, man. With the algorithm here, though, obviously a lot of the members of Congress and our senators have to be in bed or receiving money from big tech. Else they would have solved this a long time ago. Everyone's been complaining about it. Everyone's been railing about how it's an issue. I've heard both sides complaining that the algorithms are destroying us, yet no one will create a law that says we have to find out what's in the algorithms. They're destroying us, but they're neutral. How can a neutral algorithm be destroying us? Doesn't make sense to me. All right, there was one more thing in here I wanted to read. So the bill would not, however, apply to AI chatbots. Asked specifically about cases where chatbots have encouraged people to take their own lives, Kelly and Curtis said other legislation was required to address that issue. That's something else we've got to start thinking about, Kelly said. I think we do have to address it in a similar way, but it's not exactly the same thing. I will say, I do agree, Section 230 wasn't built for AI. AI needs its own laws and rules. And I'm sorry, the fact that states can't sue AI because of the big, beautiful bill, like, that's going to come back and bite us in the butt, I think, really bad. We're going to have, like, AI is going to cause a lot of problems for us. And here's the deal. I don't think that the problem necessarily is that it's going to take all of our jobs, which it is, and that it's going to make us all stupid, which it is. It's going to have all the effects that everyone keeps complaining about. But the problem is everyone acts almost as if the AI has its own mind. Okay? What needs to happen and what we need to do now, Senator Curtis, create a law that says if the AI does take over, the person who created it is responsible. They're the ones who wrote the code to do whatever it's doing. When AI causes problems, the person who wrote that code should be held responsible. I'm talking all the engineers, I'm talking the CEO and everyone else. Like, we are toying with something that is beyond most humans' comprehension to be able to understand how AI functions and how it's working. We have top level engineers with high degrees who have dedicated their lives to understanding how these algorithms and everything should play out, that they're going to be like, this is just like individuals who were making the atomic bomb years ago. They were working with something that most people had no understanding about how how nuclear fusion or fission would function. And so we locked them away in a secret room, and then we used that thing in Japan. And obviously there was some huge devastation. All the other countries decided, hey, let's start making those that had the ability. They start making them. And like, obviously we're going to hold the governments accountable for that because the governments are the ones encouraging it. The people that are building AI today are building something, in my opinion, akin to nuclear bombs. It can have the same effect that will destroy the world. Think about it this way, okay? All that could happen is the AI could get it in its mind from a developer that the most important thing is getting humans fed. And so then it just starts doing everything it can to mass produce the most amount of food so that everyone can get food. And for some reason that takes over its controlling. And then it realizes, hey, humans could also eat humans, right? Like, maybe that should become a food source. There's so many things that it could just go wrong. And again, that's just hugely farcical. I'm pointing out the ridiculousness that an AI robot based on algorithms could get caught up on one singular thing that leads to a giant demise, and humans might not even know why it's doing it, because there's way too much math that goes into it. We're going to have not a very good time when AI comes out. So I'm going to leave it there. Go ahead and say your thoughts in the comments. Let me know why you disagree. You can debate me on X. Let me know what's going on as well. If you know of anything going on locally in your neighborhoods, please let me know. I'd love to do more and more local news about what's going on around in Utah specifically. So please hit me up on X. You can follow me at Reese J. Crockett on YouTube and Rumble, and X. The channel is just called Reese Crockett on YouTube and Rumble. And until next time.